No, it wouldn't even be an issue if parents would sack up and tell their kids to get off the fucking phone. Democrats are still afraid of the mean girls who police their far-out fringe. But parents used to tell them, that's ridiculous. The world doesn't work that way. Not today's parents. They say, you're right, honey. Gender is just a social construct. Please, sometimes your mother and I forget which one of us.
Bill Maher's war with the woke left isn't slowing down, it's heating up. This time, he ripped into them for what he calls pure spinelessness. Forget blaming Republicans. Maher blasted his own party for caving to woke culture in a no-holds-barred monologue. He didn't just criticize, he branded the DNC as the party of weakness. If unapologetic, no-filter takedowns of wokeness are your vibe, hit that subscribe button because this one gets brutal.
We need two parties in this country, and we desperately need the one that still concedes elections, doesn't sell the office, and doesn't want to completely switch out democratic rule of law for a rubber-stamped autocracy. But that party is so right now, and nothing to me symbolized that more than this video.
The Democratic Party is standing on the brink of collapse and they've got no one to blame but themselves. The numbers tell the story. Support is bleeding out, relevance slipping away by the day. Why? Because they've swapped strength for cowardice, principles for pandering, and real vision for empty slogans. Instead of leading, they kneel to every outrageous demand from the woke mob. Sure, they're quick to lob insults at Donald Trump and drum up endless scandals. But when it comes to confronting the chaos inside their own ranks, silence, weakness, cowardice, and unless they change course fast, the Democrats won't just be fading, they'll be finished.
Why do I say that? Well, let me put it this way. I don't know for a fact that this couple are Democrats. I just know it's true. First off, the man is at a Coldplay concert. And while Republicans could like Coldplay, they don't, but they could. It's unlikely that this guy is a Christian conservative because he was having an affair with a woman.
And Donald Trump. Bill Maher nailed it. The Democratic Party has built its entire brand on a false sense of moral superiority, acting as if they're untouchable, beyond criticism, incapable of fault. But that high horse has turned into a prison. As Maher noted, them or hate them at least, confront their controversies head-on. They own their missteps, sometimes even doubling down. The DNC, meanwhile, prefers to bury its failures, deflect blame, and pretend nothing happened. That isn't weakness dressed up as virtue. And the longer they cling to this illusion of purity, the further they drift from reality and from the voters who see straight through the act.
They were Democrats for the same reason I knew this was a Democrat. You can't hide from the kiss cam, and you can't hide in the Oval Office. Damn, if only the lady at the Coldplay concert had brought some folders with her, maybe she wouldn't be in hot water today.
Maher's point couldn't be clearer. Democrats need to stop acting scared and start acting bold. Take Gretchen Whitmer. She thought it was safer to keep her White House meeting with Trump under wraps. Worried more about backlash from her own party than from the opposition. But when the photos leaked and went viral, she got dragged anyway. So what did hiding accomplish? Nothing except making her look weak. Now imagine a Republican in her place. They'd have strutted out of that meeting with cameras flashing, headlines blazing, and zero apologies. That's Maher's whole argument. Democrats can't win hearts by cowering. You don't inspire voters by being terrified of your own shadow, and if they don't find some backbone soon, they won't just lose to Republicans, they'll lose to their own cowardice.
Democrats seem to be afraid of everything. They were petrified of COVID, masking 2-year-olds who never would have died from it and keeping schools closed for far too long. They're definitely afraid of their kid.
The COVID saga wasn't just about the virus, it was about how Democrats revealed their true character. They shut down schools for months, long after the data showed kids weren't at serious risk, crippling an entire generation's education in the process. But the bad policy wasn't even the worst part. The hypocrisy was, they told Americans to mask up, stay home, and obey every mandate, while they themselves snuck off to private parties, fine dining, and mask-free gatherings. That's not leadership. That's cowardice, dressed up as virtue. Rules for the people, freedom for the elites. And when you preach one thing but live another, you lose the moral authority.
Come up with bad ideas. They're kids, thinking up stupid shit, what they do. But parents used to tell them, that's ridiculous. The world doesn't work that way. Not today's parents. They say, you're right, honey. Gender is just a social construct. Please, sometimes your mother and I forget which one of us has.
These toxic ideologies have seeped deep into our media. Flip on the TV and you'll see the pattern instantly. Parents are portrayed as clueless buffoons, while the kids are framed as the wise, all-knowing heroes. It's not accidental, it's intentional. And no group gets mocked harder than dads. In sitcom after sitcom, movie after movie, fathers are reduced to lazy, incompetent punchlines. Gone are the days when dads were shown as protectors, leaders, and role models. Now, they're the butt of the joke, fumbling through life while their children swoop in with improbable wisdom to save the day. This isn't harmless entertainment, it's cultural programming. The message is clear: adults are idiots. Kids hold the authority. That's not storytelling, that's indoctrination.
I mean, I don't know if we're still banning TikTok. That was before we changed the rule in America to Trump decides what's a law. But I know it wouldn't even be an issue if parents would sack up and tell their kids to get off the phone. Democrats are still afraid of the mean girls who police their far-out fringe. Massachusetts Congressman Seth Moulton had a perfect score on LGBTQ issues from the Human Rights Campaign. But when he said, I have 2 little girls, I don't want them getting run over on a playing field by a male or formerly male athlete, his own campaign manager quit. And the chair of the Salem Democratic City Committee, Liz Bratt, accused Moulton of being, quote, what is known as a cooperator in Nazi times. I think the word you're looking for, moron, is
Had no problem with the woke crowd, he cheered them on, right up until the moment he dared to question their sacred policies. That's when everything changed. Overnight, he went from ally to enemy, living proof of how ruthless the woke mob becomes when one of their own steps out of line. And that's why so many Democrats keep quiet. Not because they agree, but because they're terrified. Cancellation isn't just about losing a few followers anymore. It's about losing your career, your reputation, your future. The woke machine runs on fear and it works. Democrats who privately roll their eyes at the madness within their own ranks won't dare whisper it in public. Because in their world, dissent isn't dialogue, it's blasphemy. And heretics don't survive.
Merely stands up for the liberal principle, the one we do still call Title IX, that women get an equal shot in sports, and now it gets you labeled a Nazi. The reason Gretchen Whitmer looked like a toddler playing peekaboo in the Oval Office is she's afraid of the Liz Bratts of the world and the 12 social justice warriors on the internet and what they might tweet to their 7 followers. Alyssa Slotkin calls her party weak and woke. She's right. People vote on instinct. They can smell fear a swing state away, and they'd rather have strong.
That, in the end, is why they lost the election. Not because the opposition was stronger, but because Democrats lacked the courage to stand up to the woke mob. Instead of leading with conviction, they surrendered to the loudest voices in the room, forgetting that those voices don't represent the majority. The woke crowd is small, but it's radical, hypervocal, and dominates the internet, where outrage travels faster than facts. They scream, they shame, they bully, and every time, the Democratic Party bends the knee. But when you let radicals set your agenda, you push away the voters you actually need. Ordinary Americans don't want to live under the rule of Twitter activists, yet Democrats keep handing them the keys. Elections aren't won with hashtags, they're won with backbone. And that's exactly what the DNC didn't.
Wrong. But Trump didn't hide from the camera. Quite the opposite. It looks like he said to the photographer, widen that out so you can get these He's got his mugshot hanging outside the Oval Office. He's literally got a guy working for him named Big Balls. It's like if Gavin Newsom had a henchman named Perfect Hair.
Has never run from his mistakes. Time and again, the left has tried to weaponize them against him, but he doesn't hide. He doesn't retreat. He doubles down and keeps moving forward. They've thrown everything at him. Endless investigations, wall-to-wall media smear campaigns, even attempts to cancel him outright by blocking his presidential run. Yet, through it all, he's still standing, still swinging, and still commanding massive support. The Democrats, by contrast, do the opposite. Instead of owning their failures, they bury them. Instead of facing criticism head-on, they shrink before the woke mob, terrified of offending their own base. That's the difference. One side embraces the fight, the other hides from it. And in politics, weakness isn't overlooked, it's punished at the ballot box.
People ask me all the time, why haven't you ever had Hillary or Bill Clinton on? Why didn't you have Kamala on during the last campaign? You think we don't ask? We ask these people every week. They say no. It took 8 years and a petition to get Obama on. And these are people, all people I voted for. Think about that. They're afraid to come on the show of a guy who voted.
The man you didn't vote for, the one you've mocked as a dictator, smeared non-stop, and criticized at every turn is the very one who invited you to the White House. That single gesture speaks volumes. Not just about Trump, but about the left and how they actually treat people. Bill Maher has spent decades voting Democrat, defending their agenda more often than not. Yet not a single Democratic leader has ever thought he was worth inviting to the table, worth a real conversation, or even worth listening to. They dismiss him, ignore him, and take his loyalty for granted. Meanwhile, the so-called dictator extends a hand. It's a powerful contrast. Democrats demand obedience but give nothing back. Trump, painted as the enemy, is the one willing to engage. That's political irony at its finest. And Maher's critique cuts to the core truth. The Democratic Party is collapsing under its own cowardice. Instead of leading with courage, they bow to the woke mob. Instead of allowing open debate, they punish dissent. Instead of showing strength, they hide behind moral posturing. From the hypocrisy of COVID, to their refusal to confront radicals, to their arrogance in ignoring loyal voices like Maher, all adds up to a party that's lost its backbone. Trump, for all his flaws, stands unbroken because he owns exactly who he is. Until Democrats learn that lesson, they'll keep losing battles they should have won. And that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit subscribe, ring that notification bell, and stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.